When you get dressed in the morning, if your clothes fit properly, you feel better. And that hopefully translates to confidence when you're at your job doing whatever it is that you might do. All we're trying to do is be a little piece of the puzzle for you. In essence, making your life a little bit easier by providing this service right to you, to your doorstep, at your office or your home, and giving you that armor, so to speak, so that when you're closing your own deals or you're dealing with your customers or you're talking on the phone and you just feel because you've got clothing, and it can be very much a mental thing in the sense that it's your own. Not everybody else might have this. You might have something very unique, but you just got something that was specifically made for you by a professional for you.
Welcome to the Mitlin Money Mindset Show. This is a podcast about the financial, money, and recreational mindset needed to successfully plan for and live your best life before and through retirement. Let's dive into today's show. I'm Larry Sprung, your host for the Mitlin Money Mindset Show and founder and wealth advisor of Mitlin Financial. Today's guest is Chris Cartisano, founder of Christopher Allen Clothiers. Chris has over 20 years' experience in the custom clothing business and has built his company on his knowledge, integrity, and attention to detail. Christopher Allen Clothiers provides both men's custom apparel and wardrobe management services to their distinguished, busy, and successful clientele. His clients include CEOs, attorneys, sports figures, business owners, and those that just want to look and feel good. Chris and his company provide the highest level of customer service and are always ready to meet their clients' needs when and where it's best for them. Chris has been helping me with and creating my wardrobe for years and is responsible for almost all of my business and formal attire, always making me look good. And after you hear this conversation, I hope you consider him too. Well, hello, everybody. Larry Sprung here, and I have the distinct pleasure of being with Chris Cartisano from Christopher Allen Custom Clothiers. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thank you for having me, Larry. Much appreciated.
Yeah, it's always awesome to see you, and no clothes for me this time, but that's okay. Maybe we'll talk about that afterwards.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I want you to tell everybody, so being in the custom clothing business, it's something that's kind of old school in nature, right? How did you end up? What was your path getting here?
That's a funny question. Well, okay, so coming out of college, I got a job. I was in sales, I worked for this small company up in the White Plains area, and I was there for about 5 years, and it was great. I made some really great friends and got some great sales experience, but I knew it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Left that company after 5 years, took another job actually out on Long Island with a friend of mine just because I needed a job at the time. And that's a whole nother story, which I'll tell you off air. That was a fiasco to say the least. But let's say that lasted about 4 months and I was not working and I was looking for a new job. Really, I was looking for a new career is what I was looking for. So Just to show you how old I am and going back many, many, many years is I answered an ad in the New York Times.
Wow.
That caught my eye. It didn't even say what the company did. It just caught my eye and it said to fax your resume in and allow 3 weeks for a response. So I faxed it in, forgot all about it, actually took another job. But all of a sudden, one Tuesday afternoon, I was home and this gentleman calls me up and starts talking and says, yeah, I got your resume, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me that he's in the clothing business. And I really didn't even understand quite exactly what the company did, but he and I completely hit it off. We were about the same age. He was from East Islip, graduated high school the same year. We talked for about an hour and a half, and he says, when can you come in for a formal interview? And I said, how about later today?
Right.
And he said, sure, be here 4:30. Went in at 4:30. He explained to me what the company did, which was basically we'd be selling clothing, in essence, door to door, so to speak, to men in the convenience of their office or their home. And I was like, I don't know that much about clothing other than I like it, but I think I can do this. And they had a very comprehensive training program. It was a 3-month training program and had to learn about measuring and fabrics and fitting, plus all the sales stuff. So I took that job and I was 28 years old at the time. Most important thing is I saw a career there. I was like, this is something I think I'm going to enjoy. And 26 years later, here we are.
Okay. At what point did you stop working for other people and start working for yourself and start Christopher Allen Custom Clothiers?
So I was with that company for about 11 years. And it got to the point where I wanted to sort of have a little bit more, I wouldn't say I'm the classic entrepreneur, but I wanted to have a little bit more control over my life and my schedule. My kids were young. I was working in the city full time and I was commuting and I didn't really love all that. And I really wanted to just have that where I could be a little bit more of the father who was there to coach. And that was really what it was. I wanted to be around my kids, be able to coach them and stuff like that.
Sure, admirable.
And I made sure that my wife, because she wasn't working at the time, and I said, listen, this is what I'm thinking. I said, but if I do this and you're on board, I said, I need you to at least kind of run the back end of the business, which we're going to do from home anyway. We don't need to get an office. We can do this from home. And she was like, yeah. So that was 15 years ago. We just celebrated 15 years back in August. So yeah, it was life-changing to say the least, but no looking back, and glad I was willing to take that first step out on my own.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, listen, we do things, everybody does things for a reason. There's some kind of impetus there, and I don't think there's any better reason to make a change, and especially a lifestyle one like that, to be around your kids. I mean, that's something that people who know me know that I used to not work in, and my office wasn't in the area that I'm in now, and about 10 or 12 years ago, drew a 10-mile radius around my house, right around when my kids were young, and said, hey, I want to be within that 10-mile radius. And then I found the location we're at today. I have a 7-mile drive, and it's life-changing.
Changes everything.
Makes things a lot easier. So
it does.
Listen, you've been in the industry for a long time now. You've had the company for 15 years. Fashion, clothing, it's something that's constantly changing. It's almost like technology, right? By the time you get it, you use it a few times, it's outdated. I mean, how has your industry changed over the last 10 plus years? Not talking about the fashion part of it, just the industry as a whole in the custom clothing business.
Well, I think I would say that probably the thing that's changed the most is that in some form, what I do is much more readily available than what it used to be. If I go back many, many years, it was very, very much I got a guy kind of a business, and there wasn't that many of us. Now, you can get some form of what I do in many different places, whether it be online. Some certain retail stores will have their little carve out their little kind of made to measure custom shops.
Right.
So that's, to me, just in the last 10 years, as far as the industry goes, the biggest change is that it's better for the consumer, is really not necessarily good for me, but better for the end user, because they have, or men have, more options now to get clothing that.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. I used one of those online services, not for business clothing. It was for a pair of jeans, and it was one of those online apps, if you will. You lay it against the wall, takes a little picture of you, and then sends you the jeans in the mail. Worst fit I've ever had. I returned them right after and haven't even looked at them since.
After the show, you got to tell me about that.
Yeah, I don't even remember the name of the company, so I won't even be able to tell you, but it was an interesting experience. It was cool that you could do it. If it worked, I could see the benefit from it, but at the same time, it didn't work. It wasn't a good fit at all.
That kind of technology in some form has actually been around for a long, long time. For whatever reason, and I'm not saying that it's not perfected, but it's taken a while for it to really be perfected. And in my own humble opinion, it's still not as good as your own eyes, your own hands, and your own tape.
Right. I don't disagree with you there. So you're facing more competition than ever because there's this need that people are drawn to custom clothes, right? The benefits of having something fit right. What changes have you seen now? That's on the business side. What changes have you seen now with regard to fashion and styles?
I'm always dating myself when I say this, but I go back long enough to remember where Casual Friday was just coming into the workforce. Now everything's different. It used to be a guy would wear a suit. If you were in a business world, you wore a suit every day pretty much. If you were in finance or insurance or ran your own business or you were a lawyer, any kind of white collar profession, you wore a suit pretty much every day.
Right.
That's not the case anymore. And the whole business casual aspect of our business has changed. Nobody can see this, but like the jacket I'm wearing today, it's an unstructured jacket. Yeah, this is the perfect kind of work from home garment, okay? Because it's casual, it's light.
You mean it's not pajamas?
It's not pajamas.
Oh, so they're all wrong online, I guess.
I'm not in pajamas. So the suit business actually had a revitalization about 7 or 8 years ago when we came out of the mortgage crisis, because all of a sudden everybody wanted to get dressed up again. And the whole slim cut suit became a big thing. So that really carried us for a while. now in front of a much younger generation who did want to all of a sudden get dressed up and wear a suit. So the suit business is still there, but casual part of our business, I think, and it's hard to say where it's going to be in 6 months or a year, but it's there. And everybody wants comfort right now, whether you're working from home or working in the office. People want comfortable clothing.
Right.
That's the buzzword. Stretch. You hear that a lot in shirts, jackets, pants. Everything's got to have some stretch in it these days. So that's probably the most recent, what I would say is the most recent talking.
How often do you see those styles and the kind of fashion stuff change? I mean, is it like
when sales are dipping?
Oh, is that right? So it's self-created?
That's what I always say, because the truth is men's clothing does not change that frequently. Women's clothing changes much more frequently. Men's clothing, they make slight adjustments. They go up, they go down, they go out, they go in as far as certain things, lapels, button placements, pockets, little things, shoulder widths, things like that. And it's all designed to just to give a new story to tell.
Right.
That's how I look. It's a new story to tell. So you can go back to your customer and say, hey, I got a new story to tell. Here's what it is.
Right.
And hopefully they're interested.
So the fashion industry's wagging the dog, I guess, right?
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
what it sounds like. So you brought it up earlier about just a minute ago about men's clothing and women's changing more often. So tell our listeners, do you work with just men, women, both? How does that work?
Yes and no. But for the most part, the majority of our customers are men. But we do make women's clothing. It's full disclosure. We're still kind of perfecting it. My wife and I, we basically test everything before we actually sell it. And if we want to make a woman's suit, we want it to be right. We don't want to just sell it. We can sell a women's suit,
right,
but we want it to be right. If we're going to charge a premium for it, which we do, it's got to be a good product. We can't have our name attached to it. We're not like that. We don't feel comfortable that way. So we've both sold women's clothing. We've been doing this for long enough that we've done it. It's not part of what I would call the regular mix yet because we're still trying to perfect it, but we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer as we speak.
Does the industry as a whole cater to women at all? Or is
it does, but again, it's still, a lot of it depends on how much you want to spend.
Right.
If you're willing to go top of the line and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, sure, you can get something made. But if you're down in the somewhere below that,
right,
it's a little bit of a crapshoot.
You talk about suits, and we've been talking predominantly about business wear, business casual. Are there any types of attire that you don't handle for your clients? I gather the pajamas are out, but other than that?
So at one point or another in my career, I've sold just about everything that you could almost wear in an office setting, from head to toe, basically, from the suit to the shirt to the cufflinks to the ties to the pocket square, to the socks, to the shoes, to the overcoat, the raincoat, those being your traditional tuxedo sport jacket, those being your traditional dress pant, khaki pant. Sweaters, we've done. We kind of put that on the back burner for a while. We're now actually bringing sweaters and that kind of thing back into our product mix. We just ordered a bunch of jeans, so we're bringing jeans into our product mix to just kind of have something, again, a story to tell.
And those are custom jeans?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right now we're doing a ready-to-wear. The custom jeans, that is in the sort of like the blue pencil stage. We have the raw denim. We have the patterns. We're just fine-tuning it right now. I am hoping that, for example, I could call you up in 6 months and say, hey, Larry, I got custom jeans. Do you want to try a pair?
I'd be a good test case because there are very few jeans that I actually fit in that are off the rack. Same thing with suits. I have the same problem. My thighs and my quads and my butt are just too big, unfortunately, for most standard cut stuff.
I always wanted to keep my business tight. And by that, I mean, I didn't want to offer too many products. I wanted to specialize in the ones that I was really good at. But we've just been forced to kind of have to look in other directions to kind of pivot is the right word, I guess, to offer some things to my customers that are appropriate for where we are today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially coming out of a COVID environment or in a COVID environment, more work from home people, less office people. People are not going to stores. Right. So there's a greater demand for services and companies like yours. So being able to offer those additional product lines, I'm sure, are very helpful. Do you find that people get other benefits from wearing custom clothes, right? So custom clothes, obviously, they fit better, hopefully feel better. But I mean, benefits like, do you see people have a change in mindset because of the custom clothes or get a good feeling from it? What are some ancillary benefits that they might see?
I don't think there's any question that when you get dressed in the morning, if your clothes fit properly, you feel better. And that hopefully translates to confidence when you're at your job doing whatever it is that you might do. All we're trying to do is be a little piece of the puzzle for you. In essence, making your life a little bit easier by providing this service right to you, to your doorstep, at your office or your home, and giving you that armor, so to speak, so that when you're closing your own deals or you're dealing with your customers or you're talking on the phone and you just feel, because you've got clothing, and it can be very much a mental thing in the sense that it's your own. Not everybody else might have this. You might have something very unique, but you just got something that was specifically made for you by a professional for you.
So you definitely see that change when outfitting somebody. You can see them, how they, that instant mindset change. They feel better about themselves.
I'd like to think they do, yeah. There's nothing better than getting a text or an email with a picture of them wearing, because you don't always see this stuff that you're delivering it, but then you're off. And then they send you a picture of their wedding, let's say, or just something where they wore the jacket that you got them, and you're like, wow. And they're like, everybody complimented me on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen.
That alone is worth it. That's what you do this for.
I have a personal story. Is a lot of people know you made a tux for me. Well, it's like a quasi suit / tux with a vest with custom lining, and the backing of the vest had AFSP, who I'm very involved with, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and their logo. And when I went to the gala, luckily this was all before the whole COVID thing took place. It was actually the year before. And I went to the gala. Everybody's like, wow, whoa, where'd you get that from? That's the coolest tux I've ever seen. And
can't get that in a store.
No, you can't. And definitely made me feel good, look good, and stood out. And people were like taking notice as far as where it came from.
That's one of the most satisfying parts of this job, is when people look at this and say, let's create something that's unique, that nobody else has.
Right.
And it's personal. It's for you. That meant something to you. You have a very personal connection to that. And this was a way for you to express it. And all I do is get to be a small part of that.
Right.
That's enough.
And I appreciate it. So I think one of the things that I'd like to get across, because I hear you saying it time and time again, and I don't think that people really understand this when they think about custom clothing, right? When they think about custom clothing, I'm going to get a suit or a pair of pants or a shirt or whatever it is, and it's going to fit right and feel good. I think one of the things that you've been saying consistently as we've talked, which I don't think is really something that people think about very often, is when you think about these clothes, you really could do whatever they want. If they want a special collar, they want a special cuff, they want the pant in a certain length or a certain concave, I don't know what the word would be, but they want the pant leg to go a certain direction or a certain diagonal, if you will. You could do anything, right?
And when you buy clothing in a store, whether it be the local men's shop, the mall, whatever, you're buying what a specific designer made and put his name on, and then a store then is now carrying it and saying, this is what we're selling this season. This is what's in style. And that's great. We do the same thing, but the difference is you can, in essence, create your own style. So how does that manifest itself? You can't walk into a store right now and get pleated pants.
Right.
They just don't exist. But if you happen to like pleated pants, like somebody who's sitting across from me does, you can get them.
Right.
And you can get 6 pairs of them or 10 pairs of them. It's the little things like that.
Right.
It's nice when you don't have to say no, when most of your answers are yes, we can do that. There's probably some things we can't do.
Right. What's one of the most outrageous things in your view? Because I guess it's taste driven, right? Because to you, it may be outrageous. To the person who wanted it, it's normal and they wanted it that way. What's the most outrageous thing that you, or request
I don't know if it's
you fulfilled?
outrageous, but it really doesn't make any sense. Button down collared shirts with French cuffs.
Button down collared shirt
with a French cuff.
With French cuff.
Because French cuffs are typically dressy. You wear an open collar. A button down collar is much more casual. You often don't wear a tie and you wear a button cuff.
Right.
So that to me never made any sense. But I have people that want to do that. And
that's not something you can get in a store.
Absolutely not. No, that is because no designer would typically put their name on something like that. But listen, if this is what they want and they're going to pay for it,
you might have just given some designer out there a really good idea.
You know, it probably would.
They have at least one customer.
It probably would sell because it's something different,
right?
You know, and people love things that are all of a sudden different,
right?
So yeah,
Oh, that's funny. So listen, tell people, what are the benefits? We talked a little bit about it as far as sizing and fitting, and what are other benefits of using a service like you, a company like you, as opposed to just going out and shopping for clothes? What are the huge benefits there?
I'll try to be concise. One is the fit. Obviously, we're making clothing for your body, not for every other guy that's in the store. Number two is convenience, okay? We work with you on your schedule when it's convenient for you. So we can either meet at your office, we can meet at your home, we can meet virtually via Zoom call. And it's built around your schedule, okay? Since we don't have a store, we could work 7 days a week. We could meet on a Sunday night at 6 if that's what we choose. If you've got kids, you don't have that much time for yourself. You're running a business. You know how it is. You don't have that much time for yourself. So it's convenient. It's built around your schedule. You're dealing with an expert, okay? If there's anything wrong with going to a store, but you're dealing with it's like what you do. You're an expert. I could try to work the market on my own and see if I could make some money, but I don't. I'd rather have a professional do it. No different with me. I mean, this is what I do, and I'm going to guide you in a way that's right for you. I don't have to move any product. There's no inventory. It's just we're starting from scratch. So we just can help you with one piece at a time or 10 pieces at a time. Again, shopping at a store, and I'll even do this sometimes. I don't do much shopping, but when a guy walks into a store, he's almost always going to buy something, because why else does he go there? He goes there for a reason, because he needs something.
Right.
But they don't always have your size.
Right.
But you get the thing that's closest. So like I might be a 32 waist jean and I might find a pair, but it's a 33. It's not quite the right size, but you know what? I'm here. I committed this time. I'm going to buy it, because it was a waste of time if I don't buy it. That's the whole kind of men are hunters,
I think the biggest thing and the biggest benefit for me is the convenience factor, because for me personally, I'm sure there are other guys out there and gals that feel the same way as me. I do not like going shopping. It's not something I enjoy. It's not something I want to spend time on. So the fact that I got measured and you have the measurements, and in many cases, in full disclosure, I don't even meet with you after that. In many cases, my wife Denise will meet with you. She'll pick out the fabrics, the interior, whatever's needed. Maybe I have to come in for 5 minutes because we have to do a recheck to make sure that I didn't eat too many Twinkies over the last year or since the last time I ordered food, and hopefully I stayed the same size. And then several weeks later, the clothes show up and they fit great, feel great, and I have a new addition to the wardrobe. And I think that's a huge benefit of saving time, effort, and energy.
And I think just to piggyback on that, even if they didn't fit perfectly or exactly the way you want, you just call me up and we come back and we fix them. That's a big part of our business, is the service aspect. I don't take that for granted. I don't take it lightly. I work too hard to get customers, and if they need to be serviced, I'm not just there to sell them clothing. I want them to be repeat customers. And I know that if that means I have to go back and we've got to make it spot on, then that's what we do.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because in your bio and whatnot, you talk about also having wardrobe management services in addition to the custom apparel. What does that mean? What does wardrobe management services mean?
I wouldn't say it's a big part of our business, but that's basically if you want us to come in and take a look at your closet, your physical closet, and let's take an inventory of what you have, and we can kind of recommend maybe some pieces that are lacking, some things you might want to get rid of because they might look good on your grandfather, but not you. So really, we're just kind of looking at what you have, what you might be lacking in, what you might have too much of, and then make a recommendation going forward and how we can address that and see if we can help you.
Yeah, and I mean, that's similar to what you do, because I know with me, you know exactly what I bought from you. You know what I have. So when I need something new, we may look at something, let's call it A, and you'll say, well, I know that at home you have something that we made for you that's similar. Maybe we should go with B because you don't have anything that's like this.
Right.
And I guess that fits into those wardrobe management.
We keep a detailed summary of every purchase you make. I keep a little swatch so that when I come back, again, perfect case scenario is I'm coming back in once or twice a year to see you, to help you with something.
Sure.
So this, I can say, Larry or Joe, here's what you've purchased. So we don't need another blue blazer. You just got one a year ago. Or here are all your suits, but here's what you're lacking. Maybe how about a light gray, or how about a new pinstripe, or, just something so that I can get your mind thinking about what the possibilities could be. And that makes it a little easier, because you're not thinking exactly what's in your closet. This is just an easy way for you to say, okay, right, here's my closet right here.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about money. This is the Mitlin Money Mindset. We talked a little bit about mindset and how your clothes and custom clothes in general help people's mindset, put them in a good mindset. Let's turn it to money for a second, because I think that a lot of people, when they think about custom clothes, they think expensive right away. And the word expensive is a weird word because it's all relative.
It's all relative.
To some people, one level is expensive, and to others, another level, and to even others, another level is expensive. But I think most people, when they hear custom, think expensive. What do you have to say about that in regards to custom clothing and the expensive?
As I mentioned earlier, with all the new competition out there, that's basically driven down the prices of a lot of what we do. It really is much more affordable than the average person realizes. I mean, you could go to a store and pay $200 or $300 for a suit and then pay $100 in alterations just to get it right.
Right.
There are many price points and they can run the gamut. I've seen stuff, online where you can get a made-to-measure custom-made suit for $395. It's not what I do. I'm not quite that low, but again, the ultimate winner is the consumer. But we don't sell suits for $100. But
right. What's a range? I mean, if somebody comes to you, what should they expect to pay? I know there's a wide range, but give a low, and obviously it can go up from there. But what should they expect for a custom clothing?
One of the new things that we started offering last year, which a lot of people didn't get to see, was a new price point in a new garment. It's got 48 suits in it, 24 sport coats, and about 20 pair of pants. And the suits we could sell for $695. Okay, the sport coats for a little bit less than that. Previous to that, we were maybe $1,000 on the low end for suits to start, and they go up from there. And again, that's the thing about this business. So much of it is fabric driven, and there's so many different types of material that there's suits out there that are $25,000.
Sure.
I mean, it can get really
put you in a real good mindset.
really insane. So it's, again, like you said, it's all relative. It's not inexpensive. Even $595 to a lot of people, that's a lot of money for a suit. I completely understand
I'll
that.
speak to that for a minute, and then I'll ask you about maybe even shirts and some women clothing price points. But I'd like to speak to that point about the expensive piece, because yes, the suits are more expensive than if you go and buy them off the rack, etc. But we've had this conversation. I used to go to a retail store to buy my suits, far less expensive. But when push comes to shove, there were a couple of factors that really I never thought about before. Number one is, like you said, I never got anything off the rack. I always needed alterations. So that immediately boosted up the price of the base price of the suit. Then the other thing was that suit inevitably would only last maybe a year. Maybe a year, if I was lucky.
Right.
And I wore a suit every single day. So 5 suits every year, I was buying a new suit. All right. Now, I have had suits from you that have now been in my closet for almost 10 years in certain respects, and they look brand new. They don't look like they have an ounce of wear, an ounce of tear. So when you start factoring in that and looking at replacing that suit every year versus having the same one, I've probably saved money through the custom route over that period of time versus spending less.
And it sometimes keeps us from getting more business because,
That's true.
because the clothing does last a long time. And that is a great point. If it's well made, which it is, and you take reasonably good care of it, it will and can last almost as long as you choose to make it last. And that's a nice thing. You don't have to necessarily replace it every 2 years. You may choose to replace it every 2 years, but then that's your choice, not because the garment fell apart
Agreed.
and just was a piece of crap.
Agreed. So suits start around $695 to $1,000 and up, depending on quality, of course. What about shirts, price points for women's clothes, ballpark? I know that's something you're kind of perfecting still, but
Shirts we start at about $150 and go up from there. And, a couple times a year we'll offer some kind of promotion, a buy 4, get the 5th free, or buy 6, get the 7th free, something along those lines. The women's clothing is definitely a little bit more expensive. We don't have quite the range yet that we can offer in the men's. So you're definitely well over $1,000 on a woman's suit. So like I said, not quite the depth yet. We'll see. We'll see where that goes going forward.
I mean, I would imagine your industry, not just you, but the whole industry is really at the liberty of whatever the textile prices are. As those fluctuate, that has must have some effect on the overall cost of the product as well.
No question. You try to keep prices as steady as possible. I try not to raise prices for 18 to 24 months if I can help it. But you're right. You're at the mercy of some other people from time to time. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, Chris, it's been a pleasure having you, and we end every single show with asking everybody the same question, and that is, what did you do today that brought you joy and put you in the right mindset for success?
Well, I can't say that. I don't know if this would put me in the right mindset for success, but it was 45 degrees today, and I went and hit golf balls for half an hour because I just needed to do something that wasn't work-related. And that, along with walking my dog, especially in the past year or so, these are the things that just get me away from thinking about work. All work and no play is not good for anybody. So.
You must have hit those golf balls pretty straight then if you're that happy about it.
I did hit them okay. But just the fact that I hit them and, it was 45 degrees in third week of January, I enjoyed that. That was good for me to just get out and just take a little mental break, that's all. And I try to do that as often as I can.
That's awesome. And everybody has their thing. And as long as you know what that thing is that can bring you joy, why not?
Why not?
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Chris, how do people find you if they want to learn more about your services and Christopher Allen Custom Clothiers?
So our website is www.ChristopherAllen, Clothiers.com. My name is Chris Cartisano. My cell phone is 631-335-1210. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find us on Facebook, Christopher Allen Clothiers. You can find us on Instagram under Christopher Allen Clothiers, and also My Suit Guy.
Okay. Well, we'll have all that information for everybody in the show notes so they can find you. And listen, what better way to get in touch with a clothing guy who gives you his cell phone number? Hey, listen, you're getting...
I got a guy.
You're getting quality service there. So listen, thanks for joining us, Chris. It's been a pleasure. And remember, make it a great day.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
I want to thank Chris Cartisano for being a guest on the Mitlin Money Mindset Show. Chris and Christopher Allen Clothiers are the go-tos for helping you look and feel great. They produce a great product however you choose to have it made, and the best part is they'll come to you when and where it's convenient for you. Chris and Christopher Allen Clothiers can be found across all social media platforms, and I encourage you to take a look and think about using him for your next great suit or piece of attire. All his contact information you need to connect with him will be found in the show notes. Thank you for joining us this week on the Mitlin Money Mindset. Make sure you visit our website at mitlinfinancial.com and be sure to smash the subscribe button so you don't miss a show. We encourage you to help others find our valuable content. And listen, please, don't keep us a secret. You can also schedule an Is There a Fit call right from our website or by using the link that you'll find in the description section of your podcast player or app. Be sure to join us for our next episode to learn more about the mindset needed to successfully plan for and live your best life before and through retirement.
The opinions voiced in the Mitlin Money Mindset Show with Lawrence Sprung are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy ensures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on the Mitlin Money Mindset Show are not affiliated with CWM LLC.